For all the parents watching this video, are you a parent who has heard about the new education policy but does not understand how this impacts your child? Have you understood the policy but want to know more about its implementation plan? Are you a parent whose child currently goes to a school that follows a lot of what has been spoken about in the education policy but does not know what changes you should expect now? If any of these questions have crossed your mind, please stay tuned in while we pack the next 30 minutes to try and get some clarity on the new education policy and what it means for parents from our expert panel. My name is Pooja Kedia from SchoolWiser, and today I am joined by Mr. Ashok Pandey. Mr. Pandey has spent more than 3 decades in the education sector. Presently, he is the director, Alcon Group of Schools in Delhi. Mr. Pandey has been a successful school principal, an author, a speaker, a researcher, and a facilitator. He has extensively traveled and led Indian school principal delegation to the US, UK, Australia, and Malta. Mr. Pandey is a multi-award winner and has been honored by the National Teachers Award by the President of India 2012. Mr. Pandey sits on the governing body of the National Council of Teacher Education, along with his many other assignments. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Pandey. I'm glad we could get you to attend this session with us. I also have with me today Mrs. Soumya Gulati. Mrs. Gulati is the Deputy Director, Academics, Development and Innovation, Bluebells Group of Schools, Gurgaon. Mrs. Gulati is a learning evangelist and an ideator and a resource person for national and international practices in education. She comes with over 27 years of experience in education. Mrs. Gulati has authored several publications in the area of English language, and along with her other educational studies, she knows the Japanese language, has a certificate in pedagogy from the United States, and also has a certificate in coding in early years. Very interesting, Mrs. Gulati. She has also been conferred with the Indian Achievers Award for Education Excellence. Welcome, and thank you so much for attending this session with me today. All right, so let's just jump straight into it. The new education policy was announced recently, and it aims at making India a global knowledge superpower, which personally makes me very, very proud as an Indian. For any policy, like across the world, there are 2 key pillars of success. The first is understanding the policy and interpreting it correctly, and the second is the implementation side of it. I'm going to park the implementation for this discussion. I think it's very early right now, but we want to spend the next 30 minutes trying to understand what the new education policy actually means and how does it impact parents and which set of parents does it actually impact. If I may, I'd like to start with you, Mrs. Gulati. The new education policy talks about the 5+3+3+4 format, which is different from the 10+2 that we have today. Help us understand what that means, and please break that down both age-wise and class-wise for our parents.
All right. Yeah, Pooja, you're very right. The entire school education structure has been reconfigured. We people who've lived and outgrown out of the 10+2 structure are now going to be soon launching into the new structure, which is 5+3+3+4. Now, the first 5 years actually is referring to the age group of 3 to 7 years. It's like 3 years of preschooling plus grade 1 and 2. So in that, even when these structures have been formulated, these are actually done on the basis of key stages of learning, keeping the development and learning needs of the children in mind. So initially, we never had, like the first 3 preschools. Some of the schools had a 2-year preschool, a nursery, and a kindergarten before grade 1. Some had 3. Some were starting from grade 1. So now this has formalized the early childhood care education. The ECC education sector is now going to be formalized. By saying that it is formalized, it is not to say that it becomes formal education. Yet the policy recommends the pedagogy of play, activity-based learning, the joy of discovery, inquiry. So all those elements, keeping those in mind, the first 5 years, this is the foundation stage, and we need to arrive by the end of grade 2, when the child goes to grade 3, we need to arrive that the students are there ready with the foundational stages of literacy and numeracy. Actually, I think when we went for the PISA rankings, we all know what happened. And PISA focuses a lot about the reading skills and the mathematical skills. So that is where I think we are coming from over here, that up to grade 3, let us now start ensuring that our children can at least meet the minimum levels of reading and numeracy which are required for that. When we move on to the after 5 plus 3, the other plus 3 is your grades 3 to 5. Now over here, again, it emphasizes on the joy of discovery. This is the preparatory stage. I won't say the textbooks may find an appearance over here, but in a very light manner, in the sense as reference material, age appropriate material, because let's keep one thing in mind, that no longer is the textbook going to be the only prescribed prescription which we would follow, just as we follow a doctor's prescription. We have wearable resources available. The entire world, click of a button, is available. So all those resources are now going to play a very long role in this. So next 3 years is the preparatory stage, where we take the literacy and the numeracy skills forward, multidisciplinarily, multidimensional again, experiential learning, joy of learning. All this is really going to play a very, very important role. Next come the 3 years, our middle wing, grade 6 to 8. Now what happens at this stage, I personally feel that so far, you know, the pressure of the 10th standard boards has been so much that somewhere that 9th and 10th structure has always eclipsed, you know, the middle wing. And now I think there's a lot of deliberation which has gone into the middle wing years. Now it will be that there'll be deliberate focus on the subject specific skills. Teachers as subject specialists would now be making an appearance, along with literacy and numeracy, scientific temper, the mathematical skills, and yes, the vocational stream is one big change coming over here. There is going to be integration of art, of your performing arts, physical education, everything's going to be integrated along with vocational stream. So the middle wing is now, I feel, a very determinal factor. It will give a huge platform to the children to, you know their passion. It's a variety available, so they actually be able to know where their passion lies and accordingly move forward. And this is going to be great, age group 11 to 14. And then we move on to the +4, which is your 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Now, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, that is not to say the biggest misconception which has happened is that the board exams are going away. Well, that is not to say that the board exams are going away. No. But yes, it is offering a lot of flexibility. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, again, vocational streams will be there. And the kind of flexibility available is, first and foremost, board exams can now be, it will be taken up whether they are annual, semester-wise, or even modular-based. Maybe due to some circumstance, financial or any other emergent situation or whatever, a child is not able to, like, you know, move on to grade 11, not able to continue. They can take an exit even at the grade 10 level and yet come back. So NIOS is also going to play a very big role. NIOS so far, which was catering only to 9th, like 10th and 12th, is now going to cater right from grade 3 till grade 8, to the age of 18. So NIOS also is really going to come up. NCRT is coming up with the framework per se in the next 7 to 8 months. The National Curriculum Framework 2021 is going to be focusing on all this. And we are also, a big thing about the +4, the last 4 years of school education, is that the silos of streams as science, commerce, and humanities will now dissolve. We will now have multiple subjects available. Children with sciences can opt for music. Mathematics can opt for something as a visual art. So all those combinations, you know where your passion lies, and you are able, better equipped, better empowered to make the right choice when it comes to higher education. So
Thank you.
layman's
Thank you,
language is
Soumya
what
ji.
is.
Can I just quickly, you very beautifully summarized it, and it kind of makes a lot of sense. So you're saying basically pre-nursery to grade 2 is the first 5-year block. Then comes grade 3 to grade 5th, which is the next 3 years. Then 6 to 8 is the next 3 years, and then the rest 4 years of schooling. Help me correspond this to the age as well. So pre-nursery starts at, it's 3 years prescribed here?
3 years. 3 years now. So it's going to
All
be
right.
3 to 8 years. Sorry, it's 3 to
Okay.
8. Preparatory then is 8 to 11. That is grades 3 to 5. 11 to 14 years is your middle 6 to 8 standard. And then
Right.
14 to 18, grade 9, 10, 11, 12.
Lovely. All right.
So
Thank you
the
so much.
entire school education is 15 years now. That's what.
Yes, yes. And I think the more I hear about it, it doesn't cease to excite me. I think this change was warranted and it's come at a very, very good time
Yes.
where I think there is enough effort that's anyway going in terms of using technology, looking at our curriculum again, unfortunate time, but still a good time from that perspective. So it's come at a very opportune time.
Yeah,
I
you're
love what
very
you
right.
said.
In fact,
Sorry.
it gives me as an educator very deep sense of positivity. Like it's a very positive document if we look at it.
Absolutely. That's one aspect. Ms. Pandey, if I could come to you with another policy change that we're looking at. The new education policy talks about teaching in the mother tongue or in the regional language and not imposing a language at least till grade 5 and preferably till grade 8. Help us understand very layman terms. What does that mean?
Thank you, Pooja. And thank you, Soumya, for beautifully defining the new structure 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Pooja, one short comment. You are school wiser. The new policy will make student wiser, parent wiser, teacher wiser, you, me, and Soumya wiser, So that is the message of this new policy. Let me tell you that. The second thing is, as far as mother tongue education is concerned, let us distinguish between the two things. Learning and understanding a language is one thing, and learning and understanding everything else in the medium of a particular language, that is a different thing. Right? Now, over the years, everybody understands it, that the children in their formative years have two inherent divine qualities. Those divine qualities are to understand everything much better in their own mother tongue or regional language or whatever. The second divine quality is that they can understand and learn many languages at the same time. Right? So the government has elaborated these two aspects of child's learning. And since mother tongue as a medium of instruction is internationally acceptable, most developed countries do it, and therefore the government's prescription, advice, suggestion, persuasion, except making it mandatory, government has tried to do everything for the parents and educators to understand that if you can do it, please do it, right? So that is the whole idea. And that too, they are saying that at least in the foundation years, you must take it up to primary years, desirable. If you can take it further, even better. So this is just a suggestion. And therefore, if anybody is uncomfortable with it, it's fine.
I think the key word here, what you said was that it is desirable, but it is not mandatory. So for all the parents in cities whose children go to English medium schools, it is not a panic situation. Suddenly you will not have teachers teaching history and maths and Hindi or in the regional language that you're in. It is going to be up to the discretion of the school based on where it is, what is the kind of population that comes there, and a lot of other factors.
Parent, school, the local bodies, the school managing committee, everybody will come in the picture. But the one very subtle message of this policy as far as language is concerned, Pooja, is that as an Indian, please do not think that you do not hold any future for you in the country if you don't do everything in English. It is not like that. So that is also the message. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think very, very proudly put, and we should be proud of our mother tongue, and we should want to kind of pursue and know it. So it's nothing to be proud of that, you kind of know the English language, but you don't know the local language where you belong.
Absolutely.
Just another follow-up on that. Does this structure now, maybe it's not a mandatory structure, proposed structure, but do you not see that having a bearing on transferability, especially for children and teachers? So if there's a teacher who's teaching in Maharashtra, is kind of used to or comfortable to teach students in Marathi in a school that has taken that on. Now husband gets shifted to Gurgaon. Does that not impact both teacher transferability and child's transferability?
So as far as teacher transferability is concerned, I think that is absolutely unthinkable. That a Marathi medium teacher working in a government in Maharashtra will be transferred to Haryana government. So that is totally unfounded. So we should not worry about that. Yeah,
Okay.
the only, okay. But India is a large country. And since within the state also we have got many regional aspects, and there the government is saying that they will halt the transfers unnecessarily from so many other angles, not only from the language angle. So even that will also be curtailed. But a Maharashtra government teacher going to UP government, it is unlikely. This doesn't happen in this country. So that is totally out of table. Now, as far as children are concerned, so those children who are in the transferable central government jobs, let the argument's sake, we can say that this will pose some problem. But the question is, those who are in the central government services, mostly they go to Kendriya Vidyalaya, Army or CBSE affiliated schools. Very few of them who are locals, then they put their children in the state governments. And if they transfer their children to any other state, then this problem may come. But I think it is highly unlikely. The third argument is, you know, in the last Mann Ki Baat, the Prime Minister spoke to a girl of Kerala or boy of Kerala. And he asked, have you been to Delhi? And he said, no, I have not been to Delhi, but I have applied for Delhi University. And for the first time, I'll move out of Kerala, right? So at the moment, his only language is Malayalam. I'm sure within 3 months, he will learn English, he will learn Hindi, and I can assure you he will learn Punjabi also. And Soumya will be very happy about it. So let us not, you know, bring anything on the table which is highly hypothetical and unnecessarily creates fear in the minds of the children and the parents.
Great. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Again, for all the parents watching us, or all the teachers watching this, so not something that we need to worry about. It's highly unlikely. And even if it were to impact, it's going to impact a very, very small population, you know, that's going to go through that stage.
Pooja, I will quickly add, you know, from a remotest village in India, that parent suppose goes to America, he gets a visa. What happens to the family? Do they stop going to America?
They learn. So look at it as an opportunity.
And 2 years after they come back, you know, their accent is changed, their whole style is changed. So I think it is absolutely, for an Indian, it is not a difficult thing.
All right, point made and point taken. Thank you so much. Mrs. Gulati, if I could now move on to you. The other key thing, and you touched upon it when you were talking about assessments in, you know, earlier, that we are looking at an assessment reform also coming our way. Now, there is going to be a shift to a more competency-based regular assessment. Does that mean, in a way, that the new education policy is going to be looking at de-emphasizing the board exams, or is it going to be still a big deal in a child's life?
Pooja, since we are talking about assessments, before I touch board exams, one quick comment I would like to make, that even at grades, the level of grade 3, 5 and 8, there is going to be standardized assessments. Otherwise, amongst the stages, there is formative assessment, but that is not to say, why I want to make this comment is, that is not to say that there are going to be board exams at grade 3, 5 and 8, because this is being misconstrued, and thanks to WhatsApp University, it reached me also, that now we'll have board exams. That is not to say that I want to put the parent mind to rest over there. It's not to say that, but yes, standardization of assessments is going to happen, which I feel is excellent, because then you know where the child is, where our education system has reached, because after all, we are looking at streamlining the entire education system. So that's, I think that is one very important aspect. coming to board exams, it is not to say that the board exams will lose their value. Yes, what will go away is the stress, the anxiety, the palpitations attached with the very term board exam. And believe me, I'm a grade 10 parent, so you can, I can fully identify with it. I'm a grade 10 parent currently. So that would definitely go away, because these are going to be students who are coming out of, coming out of an education system where it is going to be far more skill-based than even what our progressive schools are doing currently. So they'll be better equipped. And again, the structure of the paper, if you look at it, yes, there is a possibility, there is talk, structure of the paper would change. It will be more competency-based exam, focusing on learning outcomes. And as it is, I would say, CBSE has been talking about, CBSE and NCRT have been talking about emphasis on learning outcomes and competency-based examination. In fact, last year only, for this year, there was a slight shift, making it more competency-based. It will be more objective. MCQs would go up. There would be a subjective element attached to it. But then it is only like, it will become more applicable. Knowledge will then be making a real life application to it. So that stress, anxiety, rote memorization, rote learning would go away. And again, since that flexibility is going to be there, whether the child wants to opt for it semester-wise, modular-based or annual, that again, it does not bring the learning down. It brings the fear of being assessed of learning down. It's not as if you are being assessed of what you have not learned. It will be an assessment of what your learning graph has been so far. So it is not like,
I can see a lot of passion on that question from you, being a grade 10 mother yourself. So
yeah, because this is something, and then these are children, who will be, see, in the middle wing, they'll be so empowered. They're going to be those bagless days. They'll be looking at internships. Imagine the fun day, skilling, the experience the child will have of an internship, which we look at our post-grad or, like college times and all. So they are better equipped children, and accordingly the assessments would be here.
Right, great. So for all the parents who are looking at this video, there is a sense of relief here that we hear Soumya talk about. So board exam, there is going to be a structural change which is much wanted, which kind of takes us away from pressure to actual learning and focuses on the learning outcome rather than the rote learning and what you can produce at that one day during that 1 year examination. So thank you so much for that, Soumya ji. Mr. Pandey, if I could move on to you, we again have heard the new education policy talk about flexibility in terms of subject choices. Very interesting stuff that's come up. So the new education policy says if you're a science student, for instance, and you want to opt for physics, it will allow you to study music along with that. Or if you don't, for example, want maths and you've got bio, you can opt out of maths and maybe study arts. So that's a very interesting combination. The flaw or the perceived flaw with that is that today you see a fair amount of compartmentalization that happens. And the reason for that is because international schools also we've seen, kind of follow that structure that they give you a lot more flexibility, but they struggle with the fact that when there are so many choices, each stream gets a very small population of students that opt for it. So logistically for a school, that becomes a nightmare to manage. How do you think schools will overcome this issue?
Yeah, Pooja, let me first decode this word called flexibility. Now, flexibility is a spectrum, right? At the one end of the spectrum is zero flexibility, which means everybody does the same thing, which in other words, we call one size fit all. The other end of the flexibility is individual choices for everything, which means customized, personalized, individualized, what do you call? So both these extremes are extremely bad, let me tell you, for whatever reasons, and therefore we have to find our middle path. Now, coming to this subject choice, two things I want to clarify here. I don't know about the state boards, but as far as CBSE is concerned, not many people know it openly. This flexibility exists even today. So a child can take physics and music, music and psychology, psychology and geography, anything. But the problem is what happens next. So our entire life cycle from school to college to professional college to career, job, everything is so linear that if you take physics, chemistry, and psychology, you neither go to humanity nor you go to engineering. You will not get admission in engineering. So what do those children do? That is the problem. So if we are talking of flexibility in this system, the government immediately has to work with colleges and schools. How do they connect with each other? A child with physics, chemistry, and not mathematics will be allowed to enter engineering or not. That is the question that will be asked, right? So that is one aspect of it. Now, as far as international boards are concerned, they are very flexible, but they also have some restriction. You have to have mathematics for IB. You have to have one of the languages, you know. So it is not that they are open for all. But when they go out for admission in the universities, in the Ivy League and top universities, they are admitted into any subject through anything, right? I mean, there are a lot more choices than our university give to our. In fact, the tragedy in our universities is that if a science student goes to humanity, some of the universities, they deduct their marks from the board, you know, and they put it into second, third, and fourth category. I think those are the issues which will come, and we will have to figure it out. But otherwise, on the paper, in intent, I think giving children choice is always a better option than closing all the choices for them.
Great, thank you so much for that. So what I hear you say is we'll have to move away from that linear approach. While that initiative has started with schools, I think it needs to be linked very well with universities so that there is a way forward for our children. Thank you. I had a couple of more questions, but we have a kind of run out of time. So I'm going to just quickly come to you, Soumya ji. You know, before we kind of close this, I'd like to get your thoughts on one aspect of the new education policy that you're most excited about, and one reservation that you see as somebody, you know, who has a school to manage in terms of implementation.
Well, one aspect which I'm very excited about is, okay, I'll just mention two aspects and I'll deliberate upon one, is the early years education. I am very glad because somehow amongst the progressive schools, though we have this structure, there has been this tussle, you know, of due to parent pressure, this school, oh, the child is able to write in cursive by grade 4, and that entire debate of cursive versus print, and this particular school, this and aapka mera bachcha nahi kar raha hai. Well, I'm glad there's going to be some kind of a mainstreaming over there. And finally, when the entire world has been looking at early years all this while, that the Indian education system will also look at it more seriously, and the incorporation of the vocational stream, because I feel that, you know, what is stopping us from picking up for children to pick up varied skills during school life? Even if your intent is to be, let us say an engineer, your focus may be on science stream, but what stops you for an engineering skill to be further developed, to look at, you know, picking up something like a craftsmanship, working with a local craftsman during your internship in the middle years. So I feel that it's going to be a lot of passion, and a lot of dissatisfaction of children will go away. That is
Thank you so much. And quickly, very quickly, one reservation as well, please.
One reservation is only this, that, well, we are all jumping to conclusions. Let's wait and watch. And the only this thing is that what happens, like, you know, in the not so progressive schools. But again, we can form hubs of learning. CBSE has formed that. And, you know, like, why not extend and make, as Dr. Pandey said, instead of having education a linear approach, broaden ourselves, have a horizontal approach, and reach out to each other.
Great.
That's what I've thought.
Thank you so much. And I think I kind of echo your thoughts. Standardization, yes, is a great thing, but the vocational training, honestly, as a mother, excites me a lot, because I think that gives a platform to our children to be able to find their calling. So thank you for that. Mr. Pandey, you could answer the same question.
Yes, so I'll be very quick. I can see the anxiety on your face. You know, the first time there is an attempt that only academic excellence is not important. Children have to grow as good human beings. So there is a lot of focus on that. And the second thing that this policy drives its entire strength from Swami Vivekananda, from Radha Krishnan, from Mahatma Gandhi, from Rabindranath Tagore. So what all they have said about child's education, creativity, joy, fun, I think this policy talks about that. But as far as reservation is concerned, Pooja, we are a federal state. I would urge that all state governments who are already part of the consultative committee, they should also give a good go ahead to this without any further consultations and hurdles. And people, government, NGOs, parents, everybody should come together to give it a proper implementation so that this policy, which has come a bit late, does not get further delayed.
Thank you so much. That's actually very beautifully put. And I agree with you. I think the only thing that's going to probably push this further out or hold us back is the actual implementation. So if everybody kind of joins their hand, that goes away. It's been absolutely fabulous talking to both of you. And I know the new education policy excites a lot of us. It's come in late, but it has come in at a very, very opportune time. And I think it is, designed in a beautiful way, very thought through way. And it is kind of set out there to put India ahead of its game when it comes to education. My only advice to parents who are looking at this video is, Mr. Pandey said, and like Mrs. Gulati has also mentioned, take the time out to understand the policy and to read it thoroughly.
Absolutely.
Second, make sure if you have doubts, your school is your first point of contact. Hopefully they'll be able to give you insight of what the policy states and what they will be able to do. So please don't hesitate getting in touch with the school and find out for your particular child how the policy impacts your child. And the third and the most important, and again, like Mr. Pandey mentioned, please be patient. The policy has just come into effect. It is going to take time to shape up. There may be some hurdles on the way, but we as parents, I think, need to stand by our children and the school and watch this grow. And hopefully all of us will sail through this and it will kind of emerge as a winner. On that note, I'm going to call this a wrap, but not before I say a big, big thank you to both for coming.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you, Soumya ji.
Thank you, Dr.
And thanks to all the viewers. Thanks a lot.
Goodbye until we meet again. Till then, be safe,
Bye-bye.
be informed, and be school wiser. Bye-bye.